as the heads of eTransact, Haptel,
Yeah.
ExpressPay, Insano, ITC, Cowrie, ZPay, you know, there's a lot of big names within the industry.
Yeah.
Do we really get together like how you guys are getting together and chill and have conversations? We don't. You know, everyone is like in their own little territory trying to, and do you know what I mean? We need to be able to take a stand.
Yeah.
That if we're not being treated right, you know, you stand up and say, hey, I don't think my brother here is being treated right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But once you say that, the rest will cut you out.
Hello everyone, welcome to Building Bytes, where we tell relevant stories about Ghana's tech ecosystem to fuel innovation and drive growth of our digital economy. This is a show proudly brought to you with production support from Haptel Academy. Today we are having a very interesting conversation with our guest John Apea, who we are going to learn a lot about what they are building at eTranzact's. But before we do that, let's get into what is happening in tech.
So yeah, what's happening in tech? Ghana and Rwanda signed the first licensing passports, fintech licensing passports in Africa. So I think they signed it in Rwanda. I think during the fintech inclusion summits, fintech inclusion summit in Rwanda. This is the first of its kind on the continent of Africa, and I think it's very welcome. Dr. Apea, what's your reaction to that?
Rwanda has always been very forward thinking in the technology space, and there's many things I admire about Rwanda. So I'm not surprised that they're taking the lead in this space, and I think Ghana and Kenya as well, are pretty similar in that way. But I like what you're doing here. Is very beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
Young black men,
Yeah.
you know, together in this environment doing this. So it's very beautiful to watch. You guys putting all your skills and resources together. Very refreshing. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Just want to ask one question on this. What does this mean for a company like yours, eTranzact's? Is this something that you're looking to possibly capitalize on it?
Not yet. I think I try as much as possible to not take us away from what our vision and our strategy is, because you know sometimes they said the best way to stop someone is by diverting the person. You know, so sometimes, you know, you might have a vision of what your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, and I think it's sometimes quite important to stay in that lane and have that vision. Obviously, just like with when you have a budget, you have maybe 5% to contingency.
Yeah.
Sometimes you leave a little bit to contingent ideas, you know, but a lot of the time I try as much as possible, you know, because strategies are normally built with you looking ahead, you know, and you thinking forward in terms of what could happen. So sometimes when you start to change with anything that happens, you realize that by the end of the year, by the end of 3 years, your focus is, you know, so it will not very much change our focus, but it will be in the backspace. Because I think for me, everything we're doing now is very much based on blockchain. You know, and you realize that lots of all innovation are all hinged on the same things. So as long as we are all dealing in similar verticals, but the underbed is the same. I mean, we're all going in the same direction. So
Awesome.
Just to add on. So we've not got into our conversation, but I just want to get from a point. So you believe eTranzact's one of their key focus in the years to come is building on top of the blockchain?
definitely.
All right.
I think we will get more into that when you get into the conversation. So the next item is OZE secures investment for Visa and the German Development Finance Institute to expand its AI digital platform for digital lending for SMEs. Caleb, to them.
I think that's a good news for the ecosystem to start with. Yeah, I think knowing that the ecosystem is still viable, is still attractive, is still getting the likes of Visa and Co to support businesses and investors, support businesses
I
locally.
think they were in a previous Visa Accelerator
Yeah.
cohort.
It's a good one. Just banking on Dr. Pierce stance again. How is that aligning to the business vision, the business strategy for the years? If they are jumping on the AI bandwagon just because there's funding available for it, I wish them good luck.
I think it's something they are doing already.
It's something they're doing
They have
already.
a lending,
Yeah, I know
lending
they
part
are
of
doing.
their business.
Mhm.
So I
But
think it's something-
okay, maybe they're implementing AI in
So
it.
they use
Like,
it for credit scoring or something like that.
yeah, that's good. But I hope they still like maintain their focus. I mean, also it's SME focus, has been SME focus from day one. I've seen a lot of their partnerships work, and yeah, I'm wishing them all the best. Megan and Dave, yeah, congrats.
Yes. Do you want to react to that?
As long as what I worry about sometimes is when the fundings comes more as debt.
Mhm.
You know, if it's a grant making institutions, etc., I'm usually all for it. But when it comes in as debt, or it comes in as an equity play,
Yeah.
those are the things I'm worried about, because usually when you are starting out and you are quite broke, or you're what's the word to use? You might be a company making good money,
Yeah.
but in terms of like correlating it to other companies in the same space abroad,
Yeah.
you might not be that liquid.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you might take a little bit of money because you don't recognize what you actually have.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you have someone who come in as an equity partner who will take about 40% of your business
Yeah.
for what seems like a lot of money initially.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
only for you to realize later on that you could have gotten much more for that equity.
But I think Ozzy has raised a number of rounds from the various investors, including Mest, Speed Invest.
So what series is it? Is it Series A?
No, I think it will
I
still
don't know,
be in the
Declare.
seed.
Series A?
Seed. It will be around the seed because they didn't put a name to it.
Yeah.
So it should be around the seed because they've raised. I think they raised the pre-seed already. So I should categorize this around speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the final item, rural banks adopt GIP's Canopy platform, so that they could also remain competitive and better serve their customers. Anybody want to react to that?
Oh, yeah, I like the fact that rural banks are doing that, and also we know the type of customers the rural banks serve, mostly outside of Accra, outside of Kumasi, outside of Takrady. So it's also very important that people outside of these regions or these key economic areas are also experiencing technology, and it's also efficient. I think if you read the story, you realize that when people go to the rural banks and then their service is down, they can access their account with Ghana Pay, and I think it's a very good use case.
Yeah. Also, do you want?
No, I think the rural market is one that is underappreciated. It's as unappreciated as Makola and Abosokai are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the real money is. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I hope fintechs can also play a part within that ecosystem, because I think there's a lot that we can also offer. And the rural banks, we're already doing quite a bit with rural banks, but it's a good play for them.
That's it. Cool. Okay. So that's all for What Happened in Tech. It's brought to you by techleaders.africa.com. Visit techleaders.africa for more news items on tech.
Thank you very much. So we get into the meat of the discussion. Today we are looking at the growth of fintechs in Ghana and West Africa, with a key focus on eTranzact's role in advancing digital payment. So I read something small about Dr. John Apea. I forgot the doctor earlier, but I've added it now. So Dr. John Apea is a well-respected professional with extensive experience across business, finance, politics, entertainment, technology, diplomacy. I'll add entertainment. Okay, entertainment is already there. Entertainment. And presently, he's the chief CEO of eTranzact's Ghana, and as well is the head of missions for Ghana, Gambia, Sierra Leone, and then Cameroon for Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council. There's a body created by 54 Commonwealth heads of government to promote trade and investment in Commonwealth regions. So this is something small about Mr. Dr. John Apea. I'm very excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Great.
So we'll first want to learn a lot more about you, but then I have a question before we get into that. So I know very few people get to impact generations in different different sectors, right? So for me, growing up, I used to watch you on TV, and then now you're in a fintech. How does that feel? I mean, impacting two generations
In
two
different
industries.
always.
Oh yeah, I think that is how it's supposed to be. You know, I think a lot of the time we've gotten it wrong by thinking that we have to operate in particular silos.
Yeah.
You know, but most of us here are part of a different type of gig economy.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
you all wear different hats.
Yeah.
Some we see, some we don't see.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of the time they talk of polymaths,
Yeah.
but most of us, especially in the Africa space, are.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have some private business you're doing, as well as your technology background.
Yeah.
And even within the technology space, you might be working for an organization, but you have a passion or a desire in a particular vertical
Yeah.
that at night, when no one is around, you're probably coding and trying to build the next big thing that will take you to the Elon Musk type of level.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's anything extraordinary. I do find it interesting that I've done many things in my life.
Right.
You know, it's like every decade I've been in a different. I've not been a politician or been a pastor.
Oh, okay.
You
So
do
that
know
means,
what I mean?
that means it's part of the roadmap. Okay.
Politician, pastor, pimp. These three I've never been.
The three
You know?
Ps.
Yeah, you know. So, but I think it should be the norm
Yeah.
because I think growing up, imagine when you were going to school, you close from school, you come home, you play football,
Yeah.
you play a musical instrument. You know, like our lives, I think we've been caught in this thing that if I'm a banker, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, that's what I'm doing, you know. But I love seeing when I see professionals like lawyers or doctors who play instruments and are part of a band
Yeah.
or are shooting a movie. It should not be something extraordinary. You know, I think we're only using a small percentage of what we're really capable of using our brains and our talents for. And I'm all for helping young people discover themselves and realize that impossible is nothing, like Adidas always says.
Yeah.
You know, impossible is nothing. You can do every single thing that you put your mind to. So I've acted, I've directed, I've produced, I'm working for a fintech company. I've worked for a tech company in elections. I've worked in private equity. I've worked as an entrepreneur. You know, I'll give you one of my most interesting stories when I finished grad school. I finished grad school and I came to Ghana, and the first job I got was a contract to print flags. This is many, many years ago. Print flags for the opening of a mall.
Okay.
So I get the contract because of, in my home sweet home days, they knew who I was. So I was able to get the contract, printed the flags, got their truck to go and dump. You know those flags by the road, the ones that in the concrete.
Yeah.
So the trucks went at night around maybe 1 a.m., dropped about 200 of those slabs, all at the wrong places on the road, but at completely wrong places. And the distances that were supposed to drop it between each were all completely wrong. The opening of that mall was at like 6 a.m. And this had happened around 2 or 3. I'd done the heavy lifting, I thought. I'd printed, I'd made sure everything was well. And I'd left in the hands of other people. I delegated, only to get this call. So about 3 a.m., I left home. And by myself, I rolled up my sleeves and I started moving the slabs across a stretch of like maybe about 800 meters. Moving the slabs.
Just you.
Just me. Because I didn't have anyone else. You know, but it was a lesson for me that, you know, at some point in time, so I'm not the type of CEO who just sits in an ivory tower. You know, I get on the ground. So when I'm talking about Mokol and Abosoka and stuff, I know those areas. You know, I like to actually get to the ground and find what the problem is and try to find a solution to it. You know, I'm that kind of guy.
Wow, interesting.
Awesome. So yeah, let's go back a little bit about you growing up, where you started from. How was your education like? Your upbringing, your family, and all this stuff.
So my father worked for the Commonwealth Office.
Nice. You took after your father.
Exactly. I tried to run away from everything my father. Yeah.
Okay.
My father worked for the Ghana Education Service, and he went to England as an inspector of schools. And the Commonwealth Secretariat loved the job he did so much that when he came back, they said, "Can you send that guy back as a diplomat?" So they sent him back as a diplomat. And so my father worked in the Commonwealth space for about 20 years. So I was born in the UK whilst he was there as a Ghanaian diplomat. And then from there, he went to the UN. So he became a UN ambassador. And we traveled around the world. Everywhere he went, there's two things my dad did. He educated us well, and then he opened the Church of Pentecost.
That's
okay. So
we get the pipeline. Now get the pipeline.
The roadmap. Yes. You know, so my schooling was across many different countries, and I think that gave me a very eclectic experience and upbringing. You know, so I've schooled in Nigeria, I've schooled in Ghana, obviously, I've schooled in France, I've schooled in the United Kingdom, I've schooled in Canada, you know. I schooled around different places, so it's been a great experience. My A-levels were in Nigeria, which was an experience that, if it comes up, really changed my life, because in the UK, when I was in boarding school and all the schools, I was the only black kid in school. I did 1 year of pre-sec here. So I'm not that year. So I did pre-sec, I did Achimota prep, then I did pre-sec, then I did Anumble, which most people don't see on my LinkedIn. Well, actually, it's on my LinkedIn, but I think most people skip that. But around my time, we're about to have the JHS, SHS. So a lot of us in the prep school moved to Anumble so that we could write the last common entrance. So I have a group of friends who all went through Anumble. But that as well was another great experience, you know, because it showed us a different side of Ghana, a different side of not having a lot of the privileges we grew up in, you know. And I was the type of kid who they always used to call me Kubolo, you know, because I would go to the places the rest of my friends will not go. Play in places the rest of my friends will not play. And I think it comes from the type of upbringing my dad and mom, you know, whatever you had, you realize that it was by the grace of God that you got it. Because my father left the village barefoot, you know, with no shoes to come to Achimota Secondary School. And through Achimota Secondary School, he was a scholarship student all through University of Ghana, and became a Commonwealth scholar, and everything was scholarship. In University of Ghana, was in Legon Hall, we had 2 shirts and 1 pair of trousers. You know, and his shirts, my mom always laughs, were made of crimpling. So the type that you wash, and within 5 minutes, it's dry. You know? But I think that they always instilled in us that when you have something, it's not because you're better than anyone else. It's just by the grace of God. Because there's so many of you, or people who are even sharper than you are, who were not able to get out. So your job is to now help those people get to the level you are. So that was basically my upbringing up to university level.
Did you have siblings, or was your relationship with them?
I have, unfortunately, 4 other.
Unfortunately.
I'm just joking. No, I have.
I'm waiting for you after the episode.
Yes, I have four really great siblings. I 1 male and 3 female. So my older brother, who you probably, if you ever watched Home Sweet Home, you saw a lot of Apeas. So my older brother is Emmanuel Apea. He was a writer and director. He was actually the creator of Home Sweet Home, and he was also the creator of Taxi Driver and co-creator of Sun City.
Oh, okay.
What else did Emmanuel do? A lot of stuff that he's been
Did he
involved in.
Run Baby Run? Did he produce that?
He was the creator of Run Baby Run. We co-wrote that together, but he was the mastermind, and I stumbled into acting, and he was the reason. He told me to just come and do a favor of 7 episodes. I shot the 7 episodes. 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, it showed on TV.
That was it.
Then I started experiencing fame. I started being in nightclubs where I didn't have to do too much work. The guys know what I'm talking about. And all of a sudden I was like, this is
At the end,
this is nice. So when that happened, I stayed for a little bit longer.
Oh.
I'm just a little bit interested about your name, Apea. Is it the normal Apea that is spelled APPIA, but yours is like the traditional one?
Mine is the APEA, which is actually the indigenous Apea spelling.
So the APPIA is like
That's the anglicized one,
Okay.
just to make it easier to be pronounced. So the APEA is actually
okay. Do you know what it means?
no.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe you find out later.
I'll find out. I've never asked.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Interested. Anyway, so I think you talked about your upbringing. You went around the world schooling. At what point did you come together to do Home Sweet Home, and from there?
So I came to Ghana in 2003.
Okay.
To do Home Sweet Home, which was supposed to be 3 months and turned into a little bit longer. And then I went back to the UK.
At that time, what level of your education were you in?
Our Home Sweet Home time. I'd started university in Canada. So it's very interesting, and I think I've spoken about it at a few times, that when I first started university, it wasn't straight sailing.
Okay.
So I started off as an accounting student. And that 2 years of accounting I did is actually what allows me to understand financial statements more now. And I always, when I have conversations with people, I always tell them that sometimes God does things that work a bit like a film script, where there's a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So you might have done something 10 years ago that you thought was irrelevant.
Yeah.
But now you realize that it's actually contributed to who you are.
Yeah.
Or you may have had a gift 10 years ago that you didn't realize that is what has made you who you are now.
Yeah.
And had those experiences of starting university, dropping out, restarting university, and actually finding out that I could do multiple things. So yeah.
So just to clarify, so you did 2 years of accounting.
I did 2 years of accounting, and then I did social political sciences.
Okay.
And so my degree is in social political sciences. My master's is in public policy, but is in policy with a bit around large data sets. And I think for me, that is where that intersection comes in with what I do now. Because there's a statistical, quantitative side to what I did at the master's level, dealing with lots of large data sets. So I ended up working for a technology company that dealt in elections.
Can we mention the name?
Cambridge Analytica.
Oh.
So were you? So when I saw it, I was wondering, were you there when the
If I was, I wouldn't have put it on LinkedIn. No, I would have put it regardless. You see, because for me, the beauty of life and our experiences is that it doesn't always have to be perfect.
Yeah.
When Cambridge Analytica began, or when SCL, which was a parent company, began, they were doing amazing work. They were doing amazing work in not-for-profit sectors.
Okay.
They were doing a lot of amazing work to try and stop terrorism and insurgency,
Yeah.
But like they always say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You can have good intentions, but if you don't watch it well, you can end up in particular places that are wrong. So Cambridge Analytica, I'll take off my hat. Amazing work. Amazing work in different areas, you know. But sometimes there's little pockets where some people
You want to feel.
go overboard, you know, with particular stuff, you know.
Okay. So you did your university, you did you were doing home sweet home.
Yeah.
From there, what was next? What did you start doing?
Yeah, so I'll say from the entertainment side,
Okay.
I moved more to governmental side.
Okay.
So I worked in UK with the Cabinet Office. And you see, although it might look like I've worked in different areas, there's a thread that links all of them together. You realize that if you watch Home Sweet Home from the beginning, it was pure entertainment, you know. But I started getting to that point where I realized that being able to tell a story and being able to tell a story that has meaning, those two don't have to be mutually exclusive. So if you realize Home Sweet Home first started just house parties, chilling in clubs and all that kind of stuff, but then it transitioned to dealing with issues. Where I had a baby mama who got pregnant, they started dealing with HIV, homelessness, even Run Baby Run was about drugs and drug mules coming through Ghana. And it was around that time when we had issues with some missing cocaine pieces.
The yam.
So, you know, I realized that just in the same way that I liked playing in places where people think I'm not supposed to play. Or having friends on the other side of the train tracks, I realized that I was always trying to push the envelope to talk about social things, to deal with issues that no one wanted to talk about. You know, so for me, that is where that intersection happened with what I was doing for government. So in the UK, for instance, I worked on something called the Big Society Project. It was a project by David Cameron, where he thought that societies can solve their own problems by themselves. You know, Ghana, sometimes you see a puddle or puddle of water, which is breeding mosquitoes. But everyone is waiting for the government to come and solve it. Or you see a lot of rubbish in a particular place. What will happen is that people will now start dumping their rubbish there. And then they'll be saying that, oh, the government is not solving it. The following week, you see someone frying yam there and take it ill, and everyone will be buying it. But what you don't realize 10 or 15 years down the line is that people are getting sick because it's an untarred road, it's next to a lot of sewage problems, and that was giving people health issues. The Big Society agenda was that you can do it yourself. It was giving people that self-efficacy that I don't have to wait for the government. Yes, I'm paying my taxes. So there's particular things my government has to do, but I have the strength to do myself to do it. So it's about galvanizing communities to come together to see how they can bring change together. So I worked within that space with the government of England. Then I did an internship at the Commonwealth Office, working on with the royal side of the Commonwealth. You know, and then that transitioned into a bigger role where I was head of Africa for the royal side of the Commonwealth, handling a lot of programs for Her Majesty the Queen, etc. And then I started my entrepreneurial journey then as well.
Awesome. So I want to ask this question. At what point did you get into fintech, and what's prepared you for, you know, this journey of the fintech world?
So I'll say two things. I'll say my entire life, you know, fintech is not something that sits by itself, you know, in a silo. There's different aspects to it. There's the technology side, but the name is a portmanteau, right? So there's the finance side. I've always dealt in finance. I'm the type of kid who I will sell ice water to make extra money if I saw an opportunity. Or I will bring sweets from England on holiday and mark it up and sell it to my school friends when I came. So I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, always that finance spirit. I probably didn't have the technology side until I think I went to Oxford University and did my master's, which dealt with a lot of large data sets, because what I studied was on the use of different type of stimuli, of which technology is one, to see how those stimuli can change behavior, or you can use to predict behavior. What AI is pretty much doing now. You see? So that's what my thesis was on at that point. What we didn't know would be AI, because AI is able to predict what you want to know. Or, is a predictor of many things. And that's what Cambridge Analytica and a lot of other companies that dealt in elections were trying to do. They were trying to find out, okay, what colors do you like? What color is it that when you see creates a particular emotion in you? If I can get that color, we'll all be sitting here. We'll all have our phones. But when I put an advert of John Mahama or Nana Akufo-Addo on your phone, everyone's color will be different.
Wow.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? So it's that micro targeting aspect of it all comes from being able to use technology, use social media, use other ways to be able to reach different publics, So I think my entire life has trained me on the finance side, but I think my academic life started letting me understand more the use of technology. And like Elon Musk and a lot of other technology entrepreneurs in the world, like including those who have created Airbnb and Uber, etc., you don't actually need to code. Or know how to code. It's like if you're president of a country, you don't have to be an economist. You hire the best people in every field, because what we do is we're providing a solution. Right? I'm providing a solution. If I can provide a million people if I can provide a solution to 1 million people, I can make $1 million. If I'm charging each person $1. What people like Elon Musk has been able to do, that's why he's the richest person in the world, is that he has that technical background, but he's also an entrepreneur. So he understands the entrepreneurial side of creating a technological solution. If you're able to marry those two, you'll be very successful. So I invested in a tech company in Ghana, probably about 14 years ago.
Wow.
Which company is this?
Are they alive or dead, first of all? Or default alive or default dead?
No, they're still alive. I think I can't mention them.
Okay, that's...
but they're still alive.
Doing very well?
They're doing well in their space.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing well in their space, but they were very much ahead of their time. But the problem they had was that what they were doing was stepping on a lot of powerful toes. So they were cutting out a lot of companies who relied
on somebody
on scratch cards. I'm giving it away a little bit. Yeah,
scratch cards.
Yeah, well, I'm giving you
one
clues,
provide one
right?
for all.
Yeah, I'm giving you ideas. I can't mention the company for legal reasons. But I'll say that on that fintech or payments side, that was because to be able to invest in something, you have to understand it.
True.
But like I'm saying, my work with Cambridge Analytica, my work with television to start off with was in technology. Television, you're using technology to tell a story, right? And I'm providing a solution to people. I'm providing entertainment to people. The solution I'm using is the TV screen. Right? So now I might be using a mobile phone with fintech, but previously I was using a TV screen. So the medium is the same. The medium is technology, right? But it's just that the product or the invention might be slightly different. So I think all throughout, I've been slowly getting to understand what is required and needed in that space. Working in elections helped me to understand technology from a wider point of view that makes me understand what customer service is about within this space, for instance, because I'm able to see how can I understand the customer more? What tools can I use to be able to predict what the customer will want? Investing in the payments company gave me an insight into what it was. And then I took extra courses, because I always tell my team, I'm never static. I'm always taking courses. So I've taken executive education courses at Stanford. I've taken executive education courses at Cambridge, all within that digital transformation space to learn more about the field that I'm interested in, the field that I think that is the future.
So let's talk a little bit about eTranzact's. What eTranzact does. I want you to help our listeners understand that. But before that, how did you identify the opportunity? Like, how did you see that, okay, there's this market that I can go into? How did you come about that?
So I didn't create eTranzact. You know, eTranzact was begun over 25 years ago by our founder, who's a great visionary. His name is Dr. Valentine Obi. And Dr. Valentine Obi will tell you that the idea for eTranzact came from God. Because one day he was on the mainland bridge, I think in Ikoyi or VI, and God gave him a blueprint in his brain, in his mind's eye, on what to do. And he just did it. So when you say he's the founder of eTranzact, he always says, God is the founder of eTranzact. I just implemented it, you know. So eTranzact began in Nigeria. And what I love about eTranzact is the African story. You know, you find that in eTranzact, everything we have, we build. Well, you know, we build because we're empowered. There's a lot of advanced countries that we could have easily gone to buy software from and plug and play, but we don't think that promotes or gives confidence to our own people. You know, if you are buying everything and you're just fixing it together like Lego, fine. But it's like cheating in an exam. You have a grade A because you remember when we were kids, you mark yourself because the answers are at the back of the book. So you have a grade A, you feel happy about it, but deep inside, you know you don't know the stuff. You know, so all our stuff is homegrown, organic, because we have the same minds or brains that they have in the US or the UK or in China or wherever it is. The problem is sometimes we don't have the financing or the funding to be able to do it. But do we have the ability? Yes, we do. You know, so eTranzact began in Nigeria. Presently, it's publicly listed in Nigeria. eTranzact serves over 150 universities. For the past 15 to 20 years, is done the payroll for the military in Nigeria. We've saved the government millions of money. And so I joined eTranzact as a CEO and shareholder through the founder, who we met at a high-level business meeting, and we realized that our minds were aligned in where we wanted to go, and our thinking was aligned. And so that's why my role, you mentioned I'm the head of missions. I was in a full-time position with the Commonwealth Office prior to eTranzact. But now with eTranzact, my role is ceremonial. I have a country director who's a full-time country director of the Commonwealth Office who reports to me. But my role is a ceremonial $1 a year type of role. You know, and that role is about giving back. You know, maybe this is a way to talk about the role, because for me, when I meet young guys like you, I want to see in 5 years' time that I'll be seeing you on Forbes. Right? I don't expect to see you working in 9-to-5 jobs for me or for anyone else. I expect to see you owning your own stuff. That we're like, oh, I remember this guy interviewed me. He's broken into the top 8. And I tell my staff all the time that, hey, one day maybe I'll be working for you guys. You know, I want to see people become the best versions of themselves. And what the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council does is that it's the business arm of the Commonwealth. We all know Commonwealth, not Commonwealth Hall. Like most people, when I used to say Commonwealth, people say, you mean the hall you talk of?
I know the vandal.
Vandals. No, the Commonwealth has a lot of good about it. The history might be colonial, but they say, like, when you're driving a car, if you're always thinking of looking behind you, you crash in front. You have to recognize that your rearview mirrors do a job, but don't concentrate on that. Use it well and look ahead. what we do is that we're bringing foreign direct investment into Ghana for businesses.
Okay.
And then we're allowing Ghanaian businesses to reach outside markets.
Okay.
So it's a way in which we're going to try and use it to grow the economy. This 24-hour economy that the government spoke extensively about. We want to see how we can bring businesses. So as I'm sitting here now, the reason I was late coming in is because I have the chief executive officer in Ghana doing a West Africa tour.
Okay.
So we met the president yesterday. She's going to Kenya to meet the president there, then to Tanzania to meet the president. And it's all about bringing foreign direct investment to African businesses and finding ways to connect African businesses to large capital to make what they are doing much, much better.
Awesome. The manifesto of the current government talked about a 15 million or a 20
Fintech,
million digital fintech plan. Would there be some investment from the Commonwealth into that?
Definitely. We've spoken to Martin Awaga, the president of the Ghana Fintechs and Payments Awards. Excellent chap, I always laugh at him that Martin might be 4 foot, but but in terms of acumen, intelligent ideas, and what he's done for us. Like I said yesterday that when you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And before the Fintech Association, before the Fintech Association, we were on the menu. And when you're on the menu, you are the mercy of
Ready to be eaten.
You are the mercy of the teeth of whoever is going to eat. But at least now we're getting a voice. We're still not there yet. The setup of the director of the Fintech office within Bank of Ghana that Kwame Opon leads, and he also does an amazing job, is the right step in the right direction. But still, we don't have a unified voice. As the heads of eTranzact's, Haptel, Express Pay, Insano, ITC, Cowrie, ZPay, there's a lot of big names within the industry. Do we really get together like how you guys are getting together and chill and have conversations? We don't. Everyone is like in their own little territory trying to, and you know what I mean? We need to be able to take a stand that if we're not being treated right, you stand up and say, hey, I don't think my brother here is being treated right. But once you say that, the rest will cut you out and go and get a show and chop, and then you're on your own. So I think what the fintech the Ghana Fintech Awards is doing is very laudable. It's finding a way to bring all of us together and to see the strengths that we have, because the pie is big. The pie is big. Not only one person can chop it. The pie is big, and we're employing hundreds of thousands of people. So we need to find a way in which we work together.
Since we are talking about the market as a whole, how are you guys seeing competition in the if you don't talk about it,
do you want the online or offline one? No, it's been tough. Like I think I said offline, it's been tough from a regulatory point of view. It's been tough from a policy point of view. It's been tough in many areas. The market is very saturated. Everyone is a fintech now. Even a photocopy center in Pillar 2, they say they are fintech. Everyone is a fintech now, and I think the barriers to entries have gone down a bit as well in terms of so many licenses, people who have licenses. But like I was saying, that should not be a bad thing. It should only be a bad thing for people who are lazy or people who don't want to work. Because this is a market of disruptors. And so when the disruptor stops disrupting, then they should go home. So it has not been easy for us in the past few years. There's been a lot of policies that we've not been happy about, that we think have taken us back. But I think we have to rise to the occasion. When that happens, we think around different ways in different verticals. Pre-2020, or pre-2015, the verticals were only payments.
Yeah.
You know, but now even at the fintech awards, you see there's so many different verticals or categories being awarded. Rec tech, you know, on real estate technology, you know, payroll technology, you know, there's so many
different
different
scoring,
you know, and it's all about providing different solutions. So you take an SME, like the company you were saying, Oze, you know, you realize that, okay, there's a lot of SMEs. But these SMEs, what do they need? You know, record keeping, they can't keep their records. Inventory keeping, they don't have a clue. You know, how even invoicing, simple things like creating an invoice and making payments. You know, so once you're able to see that, okay, this is what is the gap in the market. You know, when you're doing your thesis, you look for a gap in the market, right? You know, and I think that's what all fintech companies. So it's been a difficult few years. It's been a difficult few years, but I see a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. And having young people like you doing what you're doing as well shows that those of us who are running the bigger tech companies are doing a good job at creating avenues. I have some brilliant young people that we've recruited from university that are working. Brilliant. And those ones are there, and they know who they are if they are watching this, you know.
I think I met one of them, if I recall his name, God,
brilliant. It's beautiful to see that talent, you know, because, you know, we can compete, you know, football, right? You have someone from an area you've never heard of. The person ends up in Premier League or La Liga. They had the talent. Do you know what I mean? And they could compete
the same level.
You know, but at the same time, we have to do more to give them, you know, because if that person is malnourished or that person doesn't have, because you realize that that person probably didn't do all the coaching here. You know, they did a bit of, they went to some academy here, then you realize that they went to Germany, you know, so we have to also build them up in different ways. You not be doing what you do if you didn't have a computer, or if you didn't have access to a computer. Do you know what I mean? My father and the rest, they were just drawing diagrams, and they never actually seen the thing they were working on. You know, they're doing aeronautic engineering, but they never sat in a plane. They never even seen a spare part of a plane. It was just drawings. You know, so the future is really bright now.
That's great. So I have one question. I think the Bank of Ghana recently put out a guideline on open banking. I don't know what you think about that in the view of the entire ecosystem, financial ecosystem. What could be some opportunities that could arise with these new guidelines if they put it into action? That, I mean, fintechs and banks are supposed to go by this open
sharing data, and
I don't think it's a bad thing, because it's happening in other economies, you know, and the sharing of data really promotes financial inclusion and promotes innovation, you know. But I think for me, the problem I've had with our regulators is that they've not moved fast enough, you know, and sometimes the regulations are such that you're wondering, you know, like, for instance, I don't know if I'm treading on treacherous waters.
Allow. You can flow.
No, but you know, you have to, there's always that equilibrium you need to find, you know, because you have to be careful on doing the right thing, but at the same time, if you lose guard just by 3 or 6 months, you know, you create, because everyone is doing the legal thing, for instance, and you are not even able to stop it, you know. So if that's the case, why don't you legalize it or open it up and find ways in which you put the structures in place, you know, because a lot of the time, you know, when we are not able to put the structures in place, we just outlaw it, you know. So sometimes you have a particular issue and you know that this is a loophole that is not in any documentation. As soon as you go and tell Bank of Ghana that I'm thinking of doing this, they're like, yes, they'll put the guidelines.
I think we see that.
Do you see what I mean? But my thing is that we have to find ways in which there's a certain type of shared learning and recognizing that I might not have this, but can I collaborate with the Bank of England, Bank of Canada? Can I have some shared learning agreements? Can I, because that is what we need to fast track what we're doing. And I'd like to add that Kwame Opong is quite phenomenal.
Okay.
The job he does,
Yeah.
I cannot do.
Yeah.
Because he's always on his feet.
Yeah.
He understands the system inside out and is looking for ways in which to make what we do better. So that one I'll take my hat off to.
I think within a week he was at Rwanda during the launch of the passport license.
And then he was in Barbados or Bahamas.
Yeah, Barbados for the I think
Barbados,
fintech week or something.
You guys are tracking him.
I mean, we are hoping to have him on the show. So
Yes.
No. He's a very, very, very dynamic young man.
Awesome.
Have you got in touch with him already?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think
No,
hopefully he'll
officially.
If you
come
can
to
put us
country
in
too.
touch.
Oh no. When we finish, I'll call him now.
Awesome.
I'll call him. And,
Awesome. So looking forward, I mean, what's the future for eTransact? Basically, what are you looking for?
that one, like I said earlier, on, it's like KFC
And
has a
Coca-Cola.
secret
Maybe
ingredient.
you can give us a public version.
Yeah, the public version probably.
Coca-Cola as well has the public version.
Yeah.
The future of eTransact, we want to employ more workers,
Okay.
give young people the opportunity.
Are you going to more markets?
We're already in quite a few markets. Yeah. We're already in quite a few markets. The future for us, and I harped on it when I said we're a company that we've grown organically, we're indigenous.
Yeah.
I think that's what sets us apart, because you see, if we don't watch out and we indigenous companies don't work together,
Yeah.
our cake will be eaten by people from the outside. But we have the talent here.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that you can't match anyone in Stanford. You go there, you beat them.
Yeah.
True.
I've beaten people in Oxford. I've beaten people in Cambridge. Their minds are nothing greater than ours.
Yeah.
You go there and you realize they're not as smart. I had people from Harvard, Princeton. My first day, I was sitting at the back. I thought, Charlie, these guys are sharp. Only to realize that they've read all the notes. We don't read the notes that they give to us prior to the first class, but they read all the notes. So by week 3,
They're done.
all the notes are done. Now it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
You're learning in class and you're writing the same exam. You realize that the person is no superior. We're even more advanced in so many ways. So my thinking, or what I want to see with eTransact, is to have more people like you guys doing amazing stuff. And not saying that you're going to work with me or for me for 5-10 years. No. Come in, do your best for me. Let me bring in new talent. You go create jobs as well for new talent coming out. That is where I want to see eTransact. I want it to be an incubator for young people to better themselves. I want it to be an incubator for businesses who want to grow in the fintech and payment space. And that's why with Impuntu, I don't know if you saw that with Impuntu, there's an accelerator program that we're both going to fund, because we want to change the dynamics. We want to change the game and empower the younger generation like you guys. We want to retire in like 3 or 4 years ourselves, with our gray hairs and stuff, So
Awesome. I think that's.
So I'm not gonna give you any information that. Oh yeah, this bit that we're gonna go into this new thing. Then I wake up tomorrow. Then Hunter releases it. No, Alex Bram, it's not happening.
Okay. So I think we wrap it up. Let's talk about the Ghana FinTech Awards. You've been nominated in 4 or 5 categories.
Yeah, only 4. So
Only 4.
Which ones are you sure you are taking home?
we are hoping for the best. My dad is praying his Church of Pentecost prayer at home.
Holy Ghost.
Holy Ghost fire. He's giving dilation. We're hoping that we win it all, but at the same time, we're happy if we win nothing. The fact of being there and supporting other fintechs, and I've always said, for me, my biggest thing is partnerships. People who don't know me would think they're competing with me or they're competing. I'm only competing with myself. I'm not competing with anyone. And I always give a story to my team that Uber What maps does Uber use?
Google Maps.
Okay.
Didn't Uber raise enough money
To build
their
a
own
to build their own damn maps?
Yeah.
Couldn't Uber buy maps,
Yeah, they could.
get some APIs from
Yeah.
India or
Easy,
Vietnam?
Easy.
Why do they use Google Maps? Partnerships.
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel when your brother is doing something very well?
Yeah.
Focus on your area.
Yeah.
This is what you're good at.
Uh-huh.
So Uber owns no cars, but it's
Yeah.
the biggest transport company.
Yeah.
You know, Airbnb owns no hotels. It's biggest.
Mm.
Do you see what I mean? So focus on what your vertical is that you're good at, that is your passion and your desire, and partner with other people who are doing well in other places.
Yeah.
You don't have to be competing on every space. This you say, oh, I don't want to do no, this I don't want to do No, you know, I'm not an expert in artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing payments and I'm doing well, I'll go to Mpuntu and say, hey, you guys are the experts in AI. We have our tech guys. I have sharp guys who can spend time doing it. But when they're spending time doing it, it takes them away from the work
The main point.
that we're doing for our other customers.
Yeah.
So let me partner someone else and let me get the best.
Yeah.
So for me, partnership is the future. Partnership is key.
Yeah.
So if you ask where I see eTransact going, eTransact is going into the direction of partnerships, working with different fintechs who are experts in different areas, and all of us growing the African ecosystem together, providing solutions for private businesses, for governments, for not-for-profits, and working together, seeing where all of us, our strengths are, and working together.
Awesome. That's good. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned partnership because last week we had Christina here to talk about how, you know, fintechs can partner up to grow. So, yeah, I think it's in line with what we discussed today about. I don't know if you guys have any other question.
No.
Any burning questions? Any rushes on your thighs?
After
Maybe offline.
After the-
Offline. Next time.
For burning questions.
For many questions offline.
You want us to talk about your girlfriend?
Oh,
This one I
he's
flip the script on you. He's married.
Yeah, he's
And you're
married.
hiding your ring. And now he's brought it out so that his wife thinks he's being a good boy.
Alright.
There's an all night going on. We'll go together.
Okay. Any final comments? You want to share?
Oh no, like I said, for me, the most fascinating thing was when I walked in here
Yeah.
and I saw you guys.
Yeah.
You know, because you guys are like a microcosm of how we should all be in the fintech space.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There should be, you guys should have an episode where you have multiple CEOs sit with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Do you know, to like mirror exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, there should be some type of episodes where, you know, we all get together, you know, and I hope you guys doing this, you don't change when you get big. No, when you are running multi-million or multi-billion companies, I hope you don't say, now I'm a camera guy who's too big as well. I'm shooting films for Rihanna and all those things, so I don't want to do it. And then Mr. Editor or Mr. Producer back there is chilling out in Dubai with supermodels, so he says it's too big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but wherever you are, recognize what you have, and you guys see how you can build it, and then mentor younger people
Yeah.
to take your space when you bow out.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You want to close the show?
Thanks a lot for having you. Thanks for watching also. Just to let you know, this show is proudly brought to you with production support from Apea Academy. If you haven't subscribe now. We'll see you on the next.
We got to do the opportunities.
We'll leave it in the
Okay.
we'll leave it in the
So
description.
be in the footnotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you in our next episode.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.